There is a watch sitting in a famous person's collection right now. A watch they genuinely love. A watch they saved up for before the money came. A watch with actual meaning. And they are legally forbidden from wearing it in public because a brand owns their wrist. That's not a rumor. That's a clause in a contract. And by the end of this video, you're going to see the entire system that makes that possible. And you will never look at a celebrity's wrist the same way again. You've seen it 1,000 times. A celebrity steps onto the red carpet, cameras flashing, the world watching, and right there on their wrist, a gleaming luxury watch worth more than most people's cars. Looks effortless, spontaneous, like they just threw it on. But here's the question nobody actually asks. Did they choose it? When Roger Federer shows up courtside in a Rolex, when Brad Pitt graces a Breitling campaign, when Daniel Craig wore an Omega Seamaster as James Bond for 20 years, is any of that genuine? Or is it a very carefully written check? Today we're going inside the machine. The secret loans, the staggering contracts, the celebrities who genuinely collect, and the ones who'd never touch that watch if the money stopped. We're also going to talk about Rolex, because they've built the most recognized luxury watch brand on the planet while almost completely refusing to play the game everyone else is playing. Let's go. Not every celebrity watch relationship is the same. There's a whole spectrum of arrangements happening behind closed doors, and most people have no idea which category their favorite celebrity falls into. Brands regularly send luxury watches to celebrities with absolutely no formal contract attached. No signatures, no obligations, no press release, just a beautifully packaged watch arriving at their doorstep, often a $15,000 to $30,000 piece, with nothing asked in return. Why? Because if someone receives a watch that beautiful and actually likes it, they'll wear it. And one paparazzi shot outside a coffee shop, one late-night show appearance where the host glances at the wrist. That single moment is worth more than a full-page magazine ad. The gift builds loyalty, creates organic association, and costs the brand a fraction of a formal deal. This is where the serious money lives. Multi-year deals, typically 2 to 5 years, where a celebrity becomes the human face of the brand. And the obligations go far beyond wearing a watch. We're talking scheduled global photo shoots, mandatory attendance at brand events in Tokyo, Dubai, and Geneva, approved social media posts with exact language and approved hashtags, specific interview talking points, and an exclusivity clause, meaning they cannot be seen wearing a competitor's watch, ever, at any event, in any country, photographed or not. Financial packages for A-list ambassadors range from a few million to reportedly over $10 million annually. It is, quite literally, a corporate job attached to a famous face. This one surprises people every time. A major awards ceremony is 3 days away. A celebrity's stylist gets a call from a luxury brand offering to loan a piece, sometimes worth $200,000, sometimes $400,000, just for the red carpet. The celebrity wears it, gets photographed thousands of times, and by midnight that watch is back in a secured case heading to the brand's vault. No payment necessarily changes hands. Some of the most jaw-dropping watches you've ever seen at the Oscars or the Met Gala? Borrowed, gone by morning. And the brand received weeks of global circulation from those photographs. For almost never the celebrity, and almost never spontaneously. There are entire teams involved. The celebrity has a stylist. The stylist has ongoing relationships with brand PR teams. The brand has a placement strategy mapped out months in advance, targeting specific events, specific markets, specific demographics. By the time a watch reaches a famous wrist at a major event, it has been approved by multiple people on both sides and timed precisely to align with a product launch. What looks effortlessly cool is weeks of planning and negotiation happening completely out of public view. The image is perfect. The reality is a boardroom. Now let's talk numbers. Because once you see the figures, you understand why brands treat this less like marketing and more like a financial investment strategy. George Clooney has been the face of Omega since 2012. Industry insiders estimate his annual deal at between $10 and $15 million per year. For wearing a watch, attending a handful of events, and appearing in campaigns. That's not a one-time fee. That's an annual salary most people will never earn in a lifetime, paid every single year for over a decade. Brad Pitt's Breitling deal sits in a similar bracket. Daniel Craig's relationship with Omega, amplified enormously by James Bond wearing a Seamaster on screen for 2 decades, is considered one of the most valuable celebrity brand alignments in luxury history. The Bond effect alone is estimated to have driven billions in Omega revenue. And beneath these headline deals runs a very structured tier system. Tier 1. Global icons. Clooney, Pitt, Federer. Massive annual fees. Private jet travel to every major event. Custom pieces made exclusively for them. Their face on billboards in Tokyo, Dubai, New York, and Paris simultaneously. Tier 2. Regional ambassadors. A cricket star in India. A football legend in Europe. A K-pop artist in South Korea. Deals ranging from $500,000 to $2 million annually, but surgical. Penetrating specific audiences in specific geographies with remarkable precision. Tier 3. The gifting layer. Influencers and emerging talent receiving product, occasional fees, and event invitations in exchange for organic-looking content. Brands run dozens of these simultaneously, creating a blanket of visibility that feels spontaneous, but is anything but. Now, does any of this actually sell watches? Studies consistently show that celebrity association drives aspirational purchasing. The idea that buying the product brings you symbolically closer to the lifestyle of the person wearing it. When Omega signed Clooney, brand perception scores in key markets measurably improved. The ROI isn't always a direct sale that afternoon, but over months and years, the consistent association rewires how consumers feel about a brand at a subconscious level. And that rewiring is worth every penny. Here's the part the industry doesn't want discussed openly because it cuts straight to the heart of the model. When a celebrity is being paid millions to wear your watch, how much of it is genuine? And how much of it is a very expensive performance? There have been documented moments, circulated quietly within the watch community, where brand ambassadors were photographed off-duty. No red carpet, no stylist, no cameras expected, and on their wrist, a completely different brand to the one they're contracted with. Brands do everything to suppress these moments. They rarely become front-page news, but within watch enthusiast circles, they circulate instantly and are never forgotten. Watch collectors are obsessive, detail-oriented people. They notice exactly what's on a wrist in a paparazzi photo taken outside a restaurant on a Tuesday morning. And when that wrist wears a competitor's piece, the entire contract is revealed for exactly what it is. A business transaction, not a love story. The most important distinction in this space is genuine collectors versus paid faces, and they are not the same thing at all. A paid ambassador wears the watch at approved events and in approved content. A genuine collector talks about references, movements, dial variations, and production years with obsessive technical detail that simply cannot be faked. You either love watches or you don't. And the watch community always knows. John Mayer is perhaps the most famous example of a genuine watch obsessive in celebrity culture. His collection spans rare Rolexes to obscure independent makers most people have never heard of. He has appeared on watch podcasts, written about horology with real technical knowledge, and his purchasing decisions have literally moved markets. When Mayer is spotted in a particular reference, that reference gains resale value almost immediately, because collectors trust his taste is real. Jay-Z is another genuine collector at an extraordinary level, with pieces including a Richard Mille reportedly valued at over $2 million. Adam Driver is quieter publicly, but known within collector circles as someone with a carefully curated collection built on genuine knowledge. These men wear what they love, and that authenticity, that real unscripted passion, is actually what makes brand association valuable in the first place. The entire endorsement model now faces its most serious structural challenge, Generation Z. Studies show Gen Z consumers are significantly more skeptical of celebrity endorsements than any generation before them. They've grown up with social media. They know posts are paid. They fundamentally don't trust a famous face simply because it's famous. For Gen Z, credibility comes from expertise, consistency, and transparency. A watch YouTuber who has spent 5 years reviewing movements and explaining complications carries more purchasing influence with this generation than a Hollywood actor in a glossy campaign. The brands that will win the next decade aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest ambassador contracts. They're the ones smart enough to build relationships with people who genuinely love their product, because increasingly the audience can tell the difference. Now for the things even serious watch enthusiasts don't fully know. These are the facts hiding just below the surface of the polished image. No deal, no contract, no free gift. The celebrity walks into a boutique, pays with their own money, and leaves. A paparazzi catches them outside, the image goes viral, and the brand's PR team quietly ensures maximum circulation. The brand spent absolutely nothing and received millions of dollars worth of organic exposure. Some brands have been credibly accused of tipping off photographers about a celebrity's shopping plans to engineer these moments. Organic? Technically? Accidental? Absolutely not. Rolex essentially refuses to play the traditional endorsement game, and it's working. While competitors write 9-figure checks to Hollywood actors, Rolex operates almost entirely on organic seeding. They don't chase celebrities. They embed themselves into prestigious institutions, Wimbledon, the world of golf, professional tennis, and let the cultural gravity do the work. They gift watches selectively to people who align with their values, with no formal contract attached. The result is something money genuinely cannot buy. When you see a Rolex on a famous wrist, it feels earned rather than purchased. Rolex understood something profound before anyone else. Scarcity of association is itself a form of luxury, and their competitors both respect and envy it. Waiting lists are a manufactured marketing tool tied directly to celebrity placement. A brand places their newest model on a high-profile celebrity at a major event. Photographs circulate globally. Consumer demand spikes immediately. The brand then quietly limits supply to authorized dealers, not necessarily because they can't produce more, but because scarcity creates desirability. A waiting list of 6 months, 12 months, sometimes 2 years becomes its own news story. Resale prices climb dramatically. Media covers the waiting list. The celebrity appearance was the spark, artificial scarcity was the fuel, and the press coverage of the waiting list kept the fire burning long after the original photographs were forgotten. The whole thing is engineered, and it works every single time. Some celebrities are contractually banned from wearing watches they actually love. This is the one that stays with you. There are watches in the private collections of some of the world's most famous people that they have never chosen to wear publicly, because their contract requires them to wear something else. Imagine owning a watch with genuine personal meaning, a watch you bought before anyone knew your name, and being contractually prohibited from wearing it because a brand owns your wrist. The watch on the famous wrist isn't always the watch in the famous heart, and that gap between what's real and what's performed is essentially the entire story of celebrity watch endorsement in a single sentence. We've covered the facts and the mechanics. Now I want to give you my actual view, not a balanced on one hand, on the other hand. My real take. Is celebrity endorsement dishonest? Not inherently. Marketing has existed as long as commerce. Paying someone influential to represent your product is simply business, and there is nothing wrong with that on its own. But here's where I draw the line, and I draw it clearly. When a brand constructs an entire narrative suggesting their ambassador genuinely chose this watch above all others, when campaign language implies a deep personal connection that is contractually manufactured, when a celebrity speaks in interviews about a timepiece they'd never touch without a check, that is not marketing anymore. That is deception. And the industry knows exactly where that line is and routinely chooses to operate just close enough to it to maintain plausible deniability. Should disclosure be required? Yes, without question. A teenager posting a sponsored video on YouTube is legally required to disclose that relationship within the first few seconds. Yet a global luxury brand can pay a celebrity $10 million annually and face virtually no formal disclosure requirements because the arrangement exists in a legal gray area that nobody with power has been motivated to close. That inconsistency is not a small technicality. It affects how real people make real decisions with real money. What should you actually take from all of this? When you see a famous face wearing a watch, in a campaign, on a red carpet, in a magazine, ask yourself one simple question. Would this watch make sense in my life, independent of who is wearing it? Not on a tennis court in Switzerland, not on a Hollywood red carpet. On your wrist, in your actual life, with your actual budget. Seek out the genuine collectors, the John Mayers, the people in watch forums at midnight discussing dial variations with zero financial incentive. Read independent reviews, handle watches in person, understand what you're buying mechanically and historically before you buy it emotionally. The endorsement industry is extraordinarily good at one thing, making a purchase feel like a statement about who you are rather than simply what you're spending. Once you see that mechanism clearly, you get your power back as a consumer, and then you can enjoy the product entirely on your own terms. So, the full picture. A celebrity's wrist is not a coincidence. It is a strategy. Sometimes it's a gift, sometimes it's a loan that's back in a vault by midnight, sometimes it's a $10 million a year contract, and sometimes, in the rarest and most powerful cases, it's genuinely real. Rolex built an empire by refusing to play the game. The watch community always spots the difference between a collector and a brand face. And somewhere right now, a famous person is looking at a watch they love and aren't allowed to wear. One question for you in the comments. Which celebrity do you think is a genuine collector? And which ones are purely cashing a check? The watch community always knows, and this comment section is going to be interesting. If this gave you something to think about, the like button genuinely helps. Subscribe if you haven't. Every video goes this deep. Next up, the gray market, watch flipping, and why your authorized dealer has been lying to you about availability. That one makes today look simple. See you there.